changing lives.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Real Talk here at the studios of Hope TV Ghana. My name is Evie and I am obviously the usual host for the show. I'd like to remind you that we are live on Facebook and YouTube Hope TV Ghana, so you can join the conversation live by streaming with us. Invite a friend and let's have a streaming party going on. And I'd also like to tell you that you can leave your comments, your thoughts, your opinions under our comment section, that is Facebook or YouTube. And as the conversation goes on, I will pick some of your comments as well, so that we can all be part of the conversation. Before I go any further, I'd like to remind you that you can also be an angel of hope by dialing *928*34*104# and follow the prompts. You can also send your donation to Hope Channel at 0249-193-083 and automatically you become an angel of hope. We have a very interesting topic on our table today, a very dicey one, quite tricky, but very important, because this is something that the Adventist youth are going through in our senior high schools, even in universities, junior high schools, what have you, if you find yourself in a non-Adventist school being an Adventist student. And today we are going to have that conversation. I know it's going to be a tough one, but I believe that we are going to do the best that we can by the grace of God. And as usual, our hope is that we give you some solutions, we find some tips for you to make life easier as you navigate this thing called life. And today I have with me amazing panelists going to have the conversation. I have two in the studio, one joining me virtually via Zoom. Before I introduce them to you, when they talk about doctrines, we are going to look at doctrines in this conversation. And when they talk about doctrine, it can be said to be a set of beliefs that are held or taught by a church or any other institution. But today we are concentrating on a church. And doctrines are important because it guides you. It guides your daily life, your day-to-day runnings. It also helps you set you apart from other denominations. So it is very important, if you believe in a particular set of beliefs, a particular faith, it's very important that you take their doctrines seriously and you abide by them. And so when you find yourself in a situation where you cannot, that is, it's stifling your faith, the expression of your faith. And so you find yourself struggling as to whether you are serving God the best to your ability, or you probably are not doing the best that you can as a Christian, and in this case an Adventist. So this is a student in the senior high school who has sent her story to us. They want us to have a look at this. They want us to help them with solutions, how they can manage their lives in an Adventist school, being an Adventist. And going by the comments that you guys have left on Facebook, our social media pages, it's obvious that it is a very difficult situation if you should find yourself in one. And I'll go into the story deeper because there are other things going on there aside the fact that she is an Adventist in an Adventist school. And today we are going to talk about it. We've titled it My Tale of Being an Adventist in an Adventist Senior High School. And joining me to do that, I have amazing panelists with me in the studio. Let me go straight ahead. To my immediate left is none other than Pastor Samuel Okofo Asante. I got it right?
Yeah.
Pastor, how are you doing?
Great, by God's grace.
How has your week been?
Well, I'm enjoying it.
You are? How's Accra? How are you feeling?
Currently, we're at Valley University, OEB, for a CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education seminar for all chaplains.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're enjoying every bit of it.
You are?
Yeah, really.
That's good to know. That's good to know. And Pastor, obviously, being the chaplain in the studio for this conversation, you are going to be a resource person. So whatever question we have that we don't understand, we are going to look for you for direction. But then as well, as we do on Real Talk, we are just going to have the real conversation, because that young person out there needs the real conversation to do what they can do. Joining me as well is Millicent Isuman Edu. Millicent, how are you doing?
I'm fine by His grace.
How is work? How has your week been?
It's been interesting, challenging. Yeah, I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
It's good to have you here.
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure you're ready for the conversation. Millicent could say that she can relate to this story because she found herself in an Adventist school, being an Adventist, and so she has first-hand information on this. I'm going to go all the way to the States and introduce our Zoom guest to you. That is Brenda Dia. Brenda, how are you doing? Brenda, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, great. How are you doing? How has your week been?
I'm good. Everything is good so far by God's grace. How are you?
We thank God. I hope you're ready for the conversation.
Yes, I am.
That's great. So, as mentioned, we've titled it My Tale of Being an Adventist in an Adventist Senior High School. Let us read the story, then we can go into the conversation. It says, Dear Real Talk, I am a student who needs some advice from you and your panelists. I have been going through some challenges when it comes to adhering to my religious beliefs, doctrines, and practices. I attend an Adventist senior high school, and the struggles I face daily concerning my faith and dietary choices is such a challenge. I am the only Adventist, that's the Seventh-day Adventist in my home. Both parents and siblings aren't Adventists. Attending an Adventist school has posed significant challenges to my religious practices. One major obstacle is the school's refusal to accommodate Sabbath worship, which is a fundamental aspect of Adventist belief. This lack of religious freedom has made it difficult to fully embrace and express my faith. The school said they don't allow each member to worship on their preferred days, so nothing makes me special, and that I will be worshiping on the selected day, which is Sunday. Aside this, Saturday, which is the Sabbath, is the day we do all the cleaning and hard chores in the school, from scrubbing to weeding to washing, etc. This means my Sabbath is spent working from morning till evening, and this prevents me from observing the Sabbath and keeping it holy. Another huge obstacle is the availability of food options that conflicted with the dietary guidelines set by the Adventist Church. Many of the meals provided in the school contain foods that Adventists are advised against consuming. As a result, I have found myself either compromising my beliefs or going hungry. I always finish all my food in my trunk way before visiting. My parents obviously don't understand because that is not the faith they practice. They think I am being unreasonable and complain about money whenever I ask for more provisions from home. My parents are of the opinion that until I work and can feed myself the way I want, I would have to eat what is provided for me. Kindly advise me on what to do, as this would help any students going through the same situation. Whew. That's a lot going on there with regards to she being an Adventist and in an Adventist school, she being the only Adventist in her family, parents not understanding, schools obviously do not care because, I mean, they also have their own set of rules that you have to follow. I'll start with you, Pastor Chaplain. What is your general take on the story?
Yes, Eve, good evening and good evening to everyone watching us. I should first start by saying that I can't describe how she might be feeling. I can't describe the gravity of the whole matter, but I only commiserate with her. Right. I had a bite of it, but can't be compared to hers. Fortunately for me, I came from Adventist home.
Right.
Yes, but then I went to a non-Adventist high school.
Okay.
I remember when we were in our second year, the headmaster came and told the whole school that unfortunately our seniors, those that completed when we were in first year, couldn't make good grades. And they showed to be Krife, you know, back then Krife showed Christian faith. And so he thinks that can help. And so every Saturday, we had to go for preps.
Okay.
No church could worship. Unfortunately, our seniors came out with good grades.
Okay.
But still, we got affected. We went to him. I remember the words he said. He said, listen, I've been a Seventh-day Adventist before. I stopped when I got rich.
Wow.
Yes, and so I can. So I know what we went through, though hers can never be compared, mine can never be compared to hers. Yes, but then I can only try to understand her situation, try to commensurate with her. But it is something we are going through. It is something we're suffering. I'm the PCM director for Central Ghana Conference, and these questions keep on coming, back to us, and I mean, in our conversation, we know
how to go about it and how to help her.
By God's grace, we've taken some measures that have, helped in other situations.
Okay, that's good to know. I like the solution offered, because that's all we are about here at Real Talk. But Millicent, I remember you told me that you went to an Adventist school, being an Adventist, but then obviously you're from an Adventist family, so it makes it easier. But then what's your take on this story, how do you relate to her? What is going through your mind as you hear the story?
Okay, good evening once again.
Right.
Like Pastor said, or like you said, I come from an Adventist home, so what she's going through is quite different from how I went through mine. And fortunately for me, my school, we had an Adventist worship. We were a lot. We were quite, I think about 20 or more.
Oh, wow.
So we were given the opportunity to worship on Saturday. The challenge we had to do with, there were some programs that were put on Sabbath. For example, if their anniversary and other like school activities like inspection and others, they were done on a Saturday. So that was the challenge we faced when we were in school. But what she's going through is quite different. Regarding the food and other aspects, since I came from an Adventist home, my parents were actually willing to
give you
give
the
all
extra
the
food.
yes. So hers is quite challenging and it's quite different.
Yeah.
But I just hope and pray that from the discussion and from whatever, we would be able to come up with some solutions to help her out.
Right,
yes.
right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Brenda, I'm going to come to you. Brenda, I'm not sure if you did your senior high education in Ghana or there in the States. And even if you did it in the States, did you go to an Adventist school or it was a non-Adventist school? And then your take on the story so far, what is going through your mind, your general take on the story?
Thank you. I went to school in Ghana, College Senior High. I'll just say hi to my mom first. Mom Esther, she's watching right now, and my dad is also watching. So being a girl and going to school, high school in Ghana was something difficult, especially if it's not Adventist school. I faced so many challenges, especially on Sabbath, like similar to this one. As I read through the story, I have so many thoughts in mind. Especially if you're like dedicated to your church and you go to non-Adventist school. It's like you have so many challenges. Every Sabbath you have to wake up early, go sweep, fetch water for your seniors, and not being able to get to church on time because they feel like you have to do the school chores before you go to church or anything. So it's like it's difficult. Like if someone is in this kind of situation, it's kind of difficult. But the advice I have for this person is you just have to stay true to your faith.
You just have to stay true to your faith. I mean, we wonder how she can do that. But moving on, and now we are going to talk about the difficulties of being the only Adventist in your family and how you can cope. Everybody here says they come from an Adventist family. I don't come from an Adventist family. I am the only Adventist in my family. And so with this aspect of the story, I do relate and how difficult it is and how sometimes they don't understand it and how they feel is very restrictive and limiting, and you know, they have their own opinion, and it's difficult to be in a family where you're the only one going through that and having that faith. And they are all, I mean, Christians, but different denominations. They are Sunday worshippers, obviously, and you get up on Saturday and say you're going to church. And usually Saturday is when we do everything in the house, from washing to cooking to cleaning. But then thankfully, I think I came into the church when I had reached a good age where I could make decisions for myself. And so I think that helped, because I was doing my own work on the side. So when it came to certain things, I could give to myself. But imagine being in senior high school and being the only Adventist and calling home and say, oh, my shito is finished. And even telling your mom not to put shrimps and things in your shito. I can't imagine how this girl will communicate that. But what are some of the difficulties, Pastor, if I'll ask you, and how can you cope? If you've decided that, okay, this is the truth I have found, and this is the faith I am going to follow, and your family is obviously not following that faith, how do you make sure that you don't compromise your relationship with your family, but then also you don't compromise on faith?
Well, I wish we have a certain lady who shared a story with me in the studio.
Okay.
Yes, the day she actually sat me down to talk about it, I began shedding tears. Yeah, the struggles that she had to go through and the pains that she had to endure. Now, the question that I would ask is, and I often do ask this question, now, if you choose to move to a different denomination from your parents or your families, and it's still, you know, a Sunday worship church, do they put you through the troubles that they put you through when you decide to become a Seventh-day Adventist or a Sabbath worshiper?
I can answer this for you. No.
No.
They don't.
So that should challenge you to start asking why this against the faith, the new faith that you have. That should start challenging you to start asking why this now? And I think it should also serve as encouragement to anyone going through, especially my sister who is struggling with this, that you are the right place.
Okay.
And you know, some of the Adventists will be familiar with what is called great controversy. So definitely we find it at play here. Why are you not going through all these battles and struggles? Should you choose a different denomination that worships on the same day as against this one that worships on the Lord's day? So definitely it is the great controversy being played here, and you are on Christ's side. Just get encouraged with this. Now, you don't have to fight your parents. Christ didn't teach us that. We fight with the faith that we found. That faith isn't so vociferous, and it's not that comes as battles, but it's that which is so down, quiet, and exhibits itself through character. You are this person who would lock up yourself, or who would perhaps, you know, scale walls, you know, go outside, enjoy the world, but all of a sudden finds this faith and doesn't just worship on the Sabbath, but start knowing God better, drawing closer to God. And you start exhibiting Christ-like attitude at home.
Right.
That peace which transcends all understanding. People start asking, what is wrong with this person? And I'm sharing this with us because the lady that I'm talking about just did this. Though sometimes she would lock herself up and cry in the room, yet will come out so changed, will come out and do all the chores at home, will come out and be so submissive and obedient to the parents that it got to a time they were like, what are you getting from that place? And so I would advise that we don't fight our families because we find a new faith and they're against that. I would advise that we don't go out there and start talking and yelling and trying to prove that, yes, this is my faith, I will stand at all costs fighting. No. With character, with the right attitude, you start exhibiting true threat, and that start posing questions to them. And guess what? They try to accommodate. And with time, you will even find them join you.
That, I think that would be the absolute joy of any child that is an Adventist and non-Adventist. Before I come to Millicent, this question, Pastor, I would ask you, because Then what do we do? Are we to encourage all Adventist children to go to Adventist schools? Is that what we are supposed to do? Are there even enough rooms to accommodate all Adventist children in Adventist schools? And also we are looking at the hype with senior high schools. Senior high school is like the College of America. This is where we do the fraternity, and we don't make noise with our universities. That's not in Ghana. Hey, I went to Gehe, I went to Infantipim. That's what we do in Ghana. And so there's this hype of going to a school that is known and is hyped. And do we have schools like that in the Adventist, space where a child will say, I'm going to this school not just because it's an Adventist school, but then it's a top tier school? So that is my question. Are we supposed to encourage every child to go to an Adventist school? Do we have space to accommodate every child that decides to come to the Adventist school? And can we compete with these top tier schools that are claiming positions in Ghana? You see the National Science and Math quiz. You've seen them, how they behave with their uniforms and their colors and all over the place, right?
Yeah, you see, Evie, I would want to answer the first question,
right,
by saying that's why they are built. Yeah. Aside the fact that it was built to educate us in a Christian way, in the way that we believe, it was also meant to protect us.
Okay.
Yes. And so I would say our institutions were built to accommodate us. Yeah. But then the problem that we have, it's that, just as you said, we enjoy the hypes. And I would say that our schools are not low-class schools.
Absolutely.
Not at all. And if us, who claim to enjoy the hype that we get in other, institutions different from ours, if us who think we are the genius, the intelligent ones, and would want to choose those ones, would come to our schools, we make the difference. I didn't attend an Adventist high school, but I went to Valley View University.
That's a good school.
And I remember our time. I can't speak for now because I've been quite far away from Valley University after completing. I'm an old man now. But our time, people sought for Valley View University graduates. They didn't spend much time at home looking for jobs because they knew the quality that, made us.
Right.
All right. And so I would say that we have Seventh-day Adventist institutions that are making it great out there, but because of the way we project ourselves, Adventist humility, we may not want to appreciate it as we find with others. Personally, I think we sometimes overhype certain things.
It's true.
I'm not a fan of the National Science and Math quiz anyway. And I'm not because I didn't study science. I studied general arts, and I'm like, why should science students be hailed,
Right.
And the best school should be determined by science students. What about us who study general arts and business and others?
Right.
All right. Now, I have some friends, sorry to say this, but I have a very close friend of mine. We are at the workplace. He went to Prempeh College, right? I would mention the name, Pastor Uriah.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd love that I mentioned the name, Pastor Uriah Semensa. He went to Prempeh College. I went to Kumasi High School. We're kind of rivals. So sometimes we would meet and he start talking. Okay, we've won National Science and Math. I said, Masa, I fear could be people are inventing drones. And nobody's talking about
it.
So my point is, imagine your child would choose Afia Kobi versus one of these schools that, wins. You'd, okay, no, let's go here. But in actual fact, greater things are being done there. And so we have Seventh-day Adventist institutions that are making great, and producing great works and producing quality people. It's like a classic example. It's like what we refer to as the Saito at the basic level versus the private schools. You see, how many private schools thrive and have the big names that we have at the second cycle level? So if indeed it is the private schools that are making the big news, why are they not shining at the second cycle? But all the second cycle institutions that are making it are the public schools. And come to think of it, a trained teacher will teach somebody at the basic school. And fine, these days, the private schools also have, trained teachers. But previously, when it was, sometimes you have SHS graduates, and then we'd want to think that the trained teacher cannot make a huge impact. No. Sometimes we overhype them. And research has proven right here in Ghana that those that go through the public basic schools make huge impact in their second cycle. My point is, let us not just follow the hypes. Let us think about holistic education. You, the Seventh-day Adventist, get to Seventh-day Adventist second cycle institution, and you are free from Sabbath, brouhaha. You are free from dietary issues, and you have the chance to worship and you can have the freedom to also study without any opposition. So the schools are built for us. If we think they are not great, let us go and make it great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Millicent, I'll come to you, but I'll go for a break. I want you to sit down and think on the question. The question would have to be, what's the young lady's facing, and how she can manage the situation. I will ask specifically because you've been through it, and even though you came from a home that supported you and gave you extra food, if you should put yourself in her situation, how do you think she should manage? Same for you, Brenda. I'll come to you right after the break. Do not go anywhere. This is Real Talk. We'll be right back.
I am an angel of hope.
I'm angel of hope.
Ubrio, so do sika a beba boho channel. No so ya sene. Yet me da me asem akọ oman twa so ne ni tworom nyana. Wadaroma fa homan na fa usika fa so bi na also fa bra. Ne ko kanyamsem enya akra ewu nkwa. Star 928 star 34 star 104 hash. Anase 0249 193083. Hope Channel, yes, it's Sababo. Hope Channel, yeah, Gia Cranum.
As a small business owner, Mitaisha Business Forum, our Hope Channel, it really helps me with my business.
Don't let your priorities be because Obi Eye Bibinti. Also, we share some wide. Why one kasa sawasa. So we journey with Biani.
Okay.
Biani need so that ungo fa a problem.
In the first place, business a risk.
Okay.
It's just all about risk. Now, pursue your business, so now you need you should be a risk taker.
Okay.
I would recommend it to you to Mesresa Usu Beshebi.
Quick break. We are still in the studios of Hope TV Ghana, coming your way with Real Talk. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, Hope TV Ghana. Please do well to leave your comments, your opinions under the comment section. I have been doing this with Pastor Asante. I've been doing it with Okofo Asante. It's hyphenated. Please forgive me. I've been doing it with Millicent, and I've been doing it with Brenda, who is joining us all the way in the States. Before we went on the break, if you just joined us, you've missed quite a few, but we are still having the conversation. We are talking about the tale of an Adventist in an Adventist school and the challenges that she's facing. And we've looked at, we've taken our general take on the story, obviously. We've looked at how a child can manage in a home that she or he is the only one who is an Adventist, you know, and we've also looked at if the Adventist schools have space for us and why we should choose it, and what's it called, the difficulties, or why we are encouraging Adventists to go to Adventist schools. And so the next question has to go to Millicent, and I'm asking the issues the lady is facing. The difficulties the lady is facing, she is going through a lot. She can't eat the food she wants to eat. They've probably put Maggi cube and shrimp and monk or the other inside. They've probably added some salmon. You know, senior high school, your soups, the graduate soup, they can see your face, you know.
They call it gas.
The gas.
Yeah.
They will put some salmon pieces. Yeah, you see it all the time.
I think that's the only recipe.
You know, and you don't even know. I know some schools, there's the issue of pork. You know what we don't eat and what they serve. And if you decide not to eat in the dining hall, you eat all the food in your trunk. And if you're not lucky and you are going to hala period, where visiting has not happened, you will be hungry. And how many gari can you eat? How many Milo can you make? So with the challenges that this girl is facing and being in a situation where you've been in school like that, how can she manage, Millicent? How will she go about making sure that, you know, she's not going against the dietary options, and also with regards to the Sabbath worship?
Okay. So I'll take it from the dietary option from there. Like I said earlier, since I came from an Adventist home, I was privileged enough to get some other support from my parents regarding the food. But maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I was doing. The foods that I don't see the salmons and all the crabs and all those things inside, I take those foods aside. So, for example, where we had, I think, wache, we had gari and beans, we had, I think, kenke, and the
breakfast options.
And the breakfast
the
options. So, for those ones, I was taking them. But if I see the salmon, if I see the crab, for that, I won't be able to. Naturally, I don't know, but I won't be able to take it. So, this is what I was doing. Those ones, I substitute with what I was getting from my family. So you would have your shito. And then the gas you were talking about, you normally take it with rice. And rice, you don't put monko or anything in rice. So you can take your rice, you take your shito, then you supplement that. But then her parents are also complaining. She's coming from a non-Adventist home, and so she's having issues with them providing extra food. Whilst reading the story, something was crossing my mind. I'm wondering the kind of relationship she has with her local church. Because from my side, we constantly do contribution for secondary school students who find themselves in such situations. Yes. So before they go to school, we buy them extra provisions. Sometimes some of the elders will come to people personally for some extra money for them. So I don't know the kind of relationship she has with them. And my local church, when it comes to food, you eat everybody's food. Like, we have that, So for that aspect, I'm thinking if she's bold enough to talk to maybe a pastor, an elder from her church, they can support from that side. My mom used to tell us she grew up in a non-Adventist home. Like, actually, they were idol worshippers. And she was the only person who started going to church, and they decided not to pay her fees. Nothing. So it was the church that was supporting her. And when they had the, I think, 83 famine, now when the Adventists were given the food, her dad had to sack her to go for food
so that they will get
something to eat. So the same person who was preventing her from going to church now
needed the food.
Needed food. Now for her story, coming back to the cleaning and all those things on Saturday, like Pastor was saying, with how she treats, how she relates with her parents at home. I think when she comes to school too, she's supposed to put up a good behavior. I don't know, when I was in school, some of my classmates, I don't like reading. But sometimes, or most after times, you'll be given a portion to read. And funny enough, I always get someone who volunteered to do it for me. Yes. And then there's also the option of you talk to someone, you relate with the person, you are good to the person, you can talk to the person to help you clean on Saturday, and then another day you do same for that person. So I had a friend she cleans for me, she sweeps my portion for me on Saturday, and on Sunday I do the double portion for her as well. So you have to go the extra mile to want to do something to get what you want. So even with what Pastor was saying regarding her parents, you have to be of good behavior. You have to do extra chores. You have to work extra hard, more than your other siblings, to get that favor from your parents. If not, it won't sit down well with them. Yes. So if you want something, you have to push harder. If you don't push harder, you won't get it. You can't just fall back, be that lazy, not lazy, but be that normal person and expect favors from everyone. Yes. So in school, it will be challenging. Yes, because we had similar issues. But fortunately for me, I had people who wanted to help me with the Saturday work. So if it's scrubbing, if it's cleaning, yes, they will do it for me. Even if you are good to some seniors, they might even cover you up and not even give you any portion to read. So I'm thinking it will be a little bit of a challenge, or more. She'll get more challenge if she doesn't open up to people, if she's not willing to
go the extra mile
to get the favor that she wants. And with the help and prayers, I think it will get better.
I completely agree with you, and I think with your point as to her local church, I think it's very important, because that would also remind the churches to check up on their what's the name, their students or their wards that are in non-Adventist schools, come together, put together some provisions, because that would help greatly. Because if you're in school and you see your elder, anybody in charge coming for visiting and bringing you a few things, it even boosts the faith. You know that there's someone looking out for you. And I think that is so true, Millicent, for you to say that, because for me, one of the things that made my family think twice about their opposition to my choice of church and faith was on my wedding day. And I say this all the time, that they were surprised with the support I got from the church. The church did everything, from singing, from everything. The pastor who preached, everything. And so they came, and then I don't know what they were expecting, but they came, and everybody that needed to be there was there. And they pulled up so much for me. And it was almost as if, sorry to say it, but it was almost as if in your face. You thought nobody would be there for me, but this is it.
The family.
Yeah, is that you see, and when they see that, we are fighting, but these people love our ward. These people are doing everything for us.
They seem to love her more than we do.
They love her, and they're going out of their way to just do amazing things for her. As parents, they love you too, and so they would sit down and think, wow, we've been difficult. The girl, where she is, she's loved. What is it that we want again? We just want people to love our child. And so it's very important for the church to support us well. Brenda, I'm sure you've been listening. I don't know if you have any more to add to what Millicent just told us with regards to the lady managing the issues that she's going through in school. How do you think she can do better to cope well?
So going back to her parents, some parents are difficult to understand, but I think you have to understand your parents. Sometimes they just want the best for you, and sometimes they might not want the best for you. But understand that your parents may not fully, understand your belief. Approach them with conversation, with empathy, addressing their concerns and showing them how your faith positive influence your life. Also, practice solutions. Explore practice solutions to your diet. You may face a lot of challenges, but everyone has their own choices. Me, when I was in school, I was not eating at the dining room. I always make sure I have my own food. I eat outside. Sometimes I have to go to some people's house to cook because I want like a different meal. I might not want the food that the school is providing. Also, you have to make sure you talk to your parents, make them understand. Like I'm saying, your character, they have to see the good character that you are showing to them. If they are not going to the same church as you, but the character that you're showing to them, they might change their mind and go to the same church with you. Also, you have to show the school that you are capable of whatever you are doing. Like, you have to make them understand you. Even if they don't understand where you're coming from, you have to show a good character for them to know where you are coming from.
I get exactly what you mean. So it has to. You also have to do your part, basically. In as much as you are fighting and you are wallowing and you are crying, you have to do your part so that the school would understand. And I don't know, like you said, for your school, you guys were 20, and then the school came around. I went to a Catholic school, and we know how Catholics can be. But at a point, when they call them the Protestants, when they became more in the school, they had their own service. So they put together the Presbyterians and then the Methodists and the Anglicans to have their service. So maybe this lady again, she thinks she's probably the only one suffering being an Adventist. Oh, you know, there are lots going on. So I think a community will also help you with your faith if you have 2 or more people. Pastor, I don't know if you have more to say with how she can manage the situation before I go on to my next question.
Yeah, I think they've said it all. But then I would want to say that we often don't take advantage of the people that we have. When you are, when you are looking at things from afar, you may think, oh, we live in isolations, Seventh-day Adventists don't care, and they are not concerned about the plight of others. It's not true. It's never true. When they get to hear of, so particularly considering the background from which it's coming, somebody would even volunteer to cater for, such needs. All right, and so let her open up. And I would want to say this, please. It's true that our pastors sometimes seem to be far away from us, the students, and it's because they have lots on their, lots in their hands. I was a pastor, and then I became a chaplain. Now, when you're a pastor, you have so many meetings to meet. You have so many people at the door knocking that you forget those that are quite far away, or those that you don't see.
Yeah.
And so when we find our SHS students, go to school, sometimes we forget to put them in our itineraries and to visit them. For my conference, we've been intentional about this.
Okay.
We even draw program for the shepherdess. And so we have some periods where the pastors' wives visit. They have zones, various, I think they have 2 or 3 zones in my conference, and then they choose to visit some SHS campuses, and on that day they cook, send food to them, and then they hold church service with them, and then kind of hold a picnic together, and then after that they go out evangelizing. Now when you take reports from them, and one thing that they do, and I really enjoy, is that they try to make friends with them. They give them their numbers. Now, the reports that I gather is that these people would want to find them as their mentors, as in the students want to find the pastors' wives as their mentors. They speak with them. They call them and talk about matters, going on campus, the struggles that they are going on. And let me put this across, particularly to my colleague ministers, elders, and then the church that we have. Our students out there are suffering. I went to visit this SHS, and this young lady came to me, walked up to me and said, Pastor, I want to share this with you. I usually share it. One of my teachers, female teachers, and then a female senior, are trying to woo me into lesbianism.
Oh my goodness.
And they've promised me 1,000 cedis and an iPhone if I should join them. And they keep heckling me every day and then. So I want somebody to speak to. If we think, okay, they are going to school, we've provided them with everything, and then add on top, go with God, or may the Lord go with you. And we think that's all. No, they have challenges on campus.
Right.
And so we would need to draw closer to them.
Absolutely.
Public campus ministries directors, let us draw out programs. We have coordinating teams. We train them beginning of the semester. We pick them from the tertiary institutions. They are volunteers. And every Sabbath, together with the patrons, every Sabbath, they have a place to visit, an SHS to visit. And so they draw closer to them. Now, they would get to know the situations our young people are facing. And then we all come together and then help them out. And it's a collective thing. Please, churches, be deliberate, be intentional about this. Get closer to them because they are going through so much struggles. Let us not think, okay, they are in the SHS. Some may even have, campus fellowships, the nurse there, but still individually may be struggling.
That's true. That's true. Pastor or chaplain?
I prefer any because I enjoy both.
Yeah. When I say pastor, then I remember the topic, then I say chaplain. But looking at the lady's situation, with everything that she has outlined that she is going through, will it be a sin for her to go against the doctrine? Let's say one day she's very hungry, and then she decides to eat the food with the salmon. She decides to eat the food with the crab. Will it be a sin for her to do that? I think that is one of the guilt that is eating at her. If I'm struggling and I do this, will it be a sin? Would I have sinned against God? Will it be so bad? How does she pick herself up? But will it be a sin if she does that?
You see, before I walk straight into that, let me start making this promise.
Okay.
My dear anonymous SHS lady, what you are going through will not be the last. Should you walk into tertiary, you may suffer even worse, because there are some in public campuses that are struggling with Sabbath exams. Should you complete and walk into the corporate world, you will suffer.
Yeah.
So it is just a beginning of test of your faith. And so even before coming straight into the main point, I just want to encourage you to endure. But then we can't say endure when we would not want to consider other avenues by which we can have our way out. For instance, like I said, and like my colleagues have said, please walk up to a pastor, walk up to an elder, talk to the person about the whole situation. On dietary issue, you see, I have this simple question for you. There is a reason why you've chosen not to eat what you don't eat. There is a reason why. And I would want to appreciate where she's coming from. You see, when we are to consider the write-up, you could deduce from the whole thing that to her, not going by those standards is bringing guilt upon her.
Yeah.
That means she has accepted that this is God's truth and this is the way out.
Right.
The best way out is to, stand by the principles that she has adopted. Now, this is your faith. I would start by saying, please talk to a pastor. The pastor may have, because it's happened in my conference, we had one of these institutions that had similar issue. So we were intentional about this. They reported to us. Fortunately, we got a Seventh-day Adventist as a teacher there. And let me put this across. For all you know, there may be a Seventh-day Adventist tutor there, but who may try to be unconcerned, or perhaps may not even know what they were going through. Please find somebody, talk to them. The person may want to mediate. Go to your pastor. You see, you are not the only Seventh-day Adventist, and your headmaster may not be the only headmaster. We have Seventh-day Adventists who are headmasters. They have associations. They know one another. They are so close. Sometimes we work through them, and they'll be willing to sit down with your headmaster and try to solve things out.
Right.
And I would still want to talk to my colleague ministers. Please let us connect, how would you call it? Like you people working outside the church,
Oh.
Let's connect all these people together.
Okay.
So that when we need something, they may want to come to our aid.
Right.
We had a situation where somebody was struggling. The headmaster tried every means possible, and then they were not, the headmaster of the institution wasn't willing to. So a Seventh-day Adventist headmaster in a non-Adventist institution was ready to work for the students' transfer to his facility.
So he could help,
That
because
is
he
it.
understands.
So let's talk about these matters. Let's, and when we also, get to hear of these situations, please, leaders of the church, let's not sit on them. Let's act upon them. But then I would tell you, listen, endure. Because this wouldn't be the last time you'd have to go through something like that.
Pastor, I know you haven't said whether it's a sin or not.
You see? The biblical definition for sin is breaking the law.
It's a sin, my sister. Wait, Millicent, we've said everything we can say, but then, in your opinion, I don't know if you have any other tips for her.
But you see, after Millicent, I would want to come to this.
No problem. How can she convince her parents to support her, to give her more food, to come and visit frequently, to give her additional money? We've mentioned she makes sure she's a good girl and all that, but what other way can she convince her parents? Because right now her parents think she's being unreasonable. I'm sure they're also crying. I'm sorry, like, you know, are you the only one who goes to church? We all go to church and we don't put it around our neck like this. What other way can she tell her parents? I'm sure probably her mother, because mothers are the ones you can get easily, you know. Should she cry some more? What can she do to let them know that I really need help?
Okay, so my dad once told me a story about one woman or one lady who got married to a non-Adventist guy, and then at the initial stage, the guy was willing to, let's say, attend church peacefully, have everything to herself, be able to worship on Sabbath day without any challenge. But after a few years, he changed. So he started making her wash on Saturday, pound fufu, everything. So everything that would prevent her from going to church, he was doing it. He was trying everything possible to make her stop going to church. The woman went ahead to pound the fufu, all right. But even if it's 4 o'clock, she still went to church. That showed the man the determination that she had. Aside that, she went ahead to report the issue to her church pastor, the elders, and any elderly person that she thought her husband would listen to. So they also, from time to time, they come to the house, they speak to the man, they talk to him. So with the determination and with prayers and then the counsel from the elders, with time, the man actually became an Adventist himself. So then I would say it won't be easy to just one day walk up to your parents and tell them you want food, you want this, and they will just listen to you. For you know, you're not the only child. So why should they give you that?
Yeah, she said she has siblings.
So it would be with determination, with prayers, and then, like Pastor said, talk to the elders, talk to the pastors, let them come in. Aside the pastors, you might know someone or people that your parents, your parents reverence, like they respect a lot. You talk to those people. Let them come in, let them have a word on your behalf. And I think with that, she would be okay.
She'll be okay, absolutely. Brenda, I'm coming to you. How else can she convince her parents to help her out, to support, whether it's more provision, whether it's more money, or even just understanding of her faith, and allow her to express herself the best that she can and not do little things to probably sabotage her journey? How else can this girl talk to her parents and say, you know what, this is what I've decided to do. I know you don't understand it, but probably just give me some time to go through it. And as I do that, it would be very nice if you could give me an extra bottle of shit, or, you know.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's just patient. You have to be patient. You don't have to rush into things, because things are just temporary, you know. And you have to, as I said before, you have to show like a good behavior. Make them understand that you are in this kind of situation. They are your parents after all. They will understand you. So you have to just be patient. Remember that these challenges that you are facing, you are a Christian, so you might face these challenges, but that makes you stronger. So as you're talking to them, make them understand, hey mom or dad, I'm struggling. I'm not eating for like 1 week because of the food they are giving us. I don't like it. I get allergic reaction to this kind of food. So please help me out. I need help from you. Like, you have to make them understand the situation that you're going through. And it's, as I said before, it's just temporary. So you have to make them understand. Make them know what you are going through, because they are not in the school with you. They are not facing the same kind of situation that you are facing in school. So you have to make them understand the kind of situation that you are facing. Give them examples. They will understand you.
Yeah, I completely get what you mean, and I can imagine you telling your mother that you haven't eaten for a week, regardless of how she feels about your face. She'll say, hey, my child will die. She'll probably come and give you more food. Hopefully that is the situation for her. But before our final words, you wanted to say something.
Yes, let me start by saying that when we talked about, breaking the law, that is not to rain guilt on anyone, particularly this lady who perhaps might have even succumbed to the situation one way or the other.
Yeah.
You see, extension of grace to someone, it's so deep that it's only God who can really explain how he does it.
Right.
Yeah, and even how he saves someone. We are not talking about salvation here, but we are talking about you being obedient to the Lord. Like I said, it wouldn't be the last, and growing up you'd face it. It's a challenge to your faith.
Right.
But then you would need to learn to endure, because you would have so much temptations come your way that will want to challenge. But then try as much as possible, I still repeat, to exhaust all other avenues to kind of solve, these problems, rather than to sit back and say, I'm just going through all these. And then I would also want to say that, please, it's not an event. It isn't something that just happens. As in, it wouldn't sound like, okay, you go speak to a pastor and that same day matters are resolved. It's not as if you put up a good behavior at home and all of a sudden your parents do change. Someone walked up to me one day and said, Father, Pastor, the very person I revere so much in my community was the one my father brought home to come tell me that the Bible says I should respect my parents. And so it's like I am disobeying my parents for choosing to worship on the Sabbath or leaving the church that I was born. So you see how they put up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, this lady got up one day and nobody was talking to her at home. She was going through so much struggle, but one day she picked up a paper and then wrote out her feelings, how lonely she's feeling, and how it's killing her, and how sometimes she feels like committing suicide because nobody would want to draw closer to her just because of her choice. And then she slipped the whole thing under the parents' door. Yeah. And then the father walked up to him crying because he understood what the child was going through. So sometimes, it may not come so easy. When it's just too much for us, we'd want to speak to our parents about the matter. Sometimes we may want to walk, and please seek counseling from a certified counselor.
Right.
It would also help.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let me read some comments and I'll take the final words. Ankuma Entry Buesiako says, I am so happy for coming up with this topic. Okay. Local churches' attitude towards our students in our senior high schools is not encouraging. I will plead with Conference Education Directorate to come up with the right programs to meet the needs of these students. Some of us are letting these students down, and it's time we wake up and support them in any possible way. All former NAS must avail themselves and support these students. I have a bunch of people saying they are watching from Amstead K NAS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually a lot of people. I can't read all. This one is from Stephen.
That's where I pastor.
Oh, so they are your people. Well,
yes.
Stephen is saying,
greetings to them.
Watching live from Seshi
Dwaboso.
Yeah. I greet you all, especially Pastor Ikufo Asante. Okay, it's your people, I'm back.
Okay.
Reading more, this one, I want to pick a few. We have just 2 minutes to go. This one is from Kofi Ama, who says, Hope TV, I have a challenge with how, this is not for, okay, with how the 5th paragraph dietary guidelines set by the Adventist Church. I stand to be corrected. However, to the best of my knowledge, the dietary guidelines are not set by the Adventist Church. It is from God, stated in the Bible, which we Adventists believe to be the holy and only true book. Okay, well noted, Ama. We probably say the Adventist Church because other churches do not speak on it. Kweku Safu says, if you have been to Adventist schools, that's the same way we treat an Adventist. Okay, moving forward, Mukazo says, Give God what he demands of you and let him do what he does for those who totally surrender to him. Because our fear mostly is if we do not make it in secular life, then we've lost the golden opportunity ever. But this is not the case. Biblical Christianity demands that we tell or declare a testimony of victory to those in school with us, as well as the ones we will live with after school. But if we fail to endure these tests, where are we guaranteed that things will continue being smooth? Have we forgotten the seed principle and how cruel the world was, not only to Christ but also to the prophets? I can't read, unfortunately. Gerald said, it's not easy. We can imagine. Just take everything to God in prayer. The battle is the Lord's. Unfortunately, I can't read all. Pastor, quickly your final words, probably in a sentence.
All right. God's law are not situational. Yeah, they are not pick and choose, right? And they are not based on what we go through. He expects us to be faithful. My dear, be faithful. There are lots of people before you who went through similar situations. They stood for the Lord. And let me say this, for all you know, they may even be a Seventh-day Adventist, born Seventh-day Adventist with Adventist parentage, who would be, seem not to care and be
eating and working and do whatever.
But you know why you wrote this. It's based on the faith you are exercising in the Lord, based on his word. Continue and endure, and then use the other avenues available. God will be with you. We'll be praying for you.
Amen. Thank you so much. Millicent, that was a paragraph. Can you give me a sentence, please?
All right. Okay, so what I will add is she should know that this challenge she's going through will not be the end. After school, after secondary school, you are going to face another one.
Right.
After school, when you are working, you face others. So if you are going to fall at this point, then how are you going to withstand the others? So she should hold on and endure. God is with her.
God is with her. Thank you so much, Millicent. Brenda, your final words to this lady. A sentence, please.
What I would say to her is, you are not alone. Many others have faced similar situations. Stay connected with your faith community. Ask for help when you need it, and trust yourself to overcome these challenges. Your commitment to your belief will shape you, and you'll become a great person.
That was so beautifully put. Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you to all my amazing panelists. Chaplain, Chaplain has a greetings to his wife. I'll let him say it. Chaplain Samuel Ekufu Asante, Brenda Dia, Millicent Esuman Ado. Thank you all so much. Please,
she's my landlady. She's called Catherine.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Yes, we just want to say hi to her.
Yeah, she's watching, so I love you all.
Oh, Catherine, your husband says hi. Please, do you have someone to say hi to?
Okay, I also want to say hi to my husband.
Great.
So, Mr. McIntosh Esuman, I love you.
Oh, Brenda, greetings from abroad. Who are you saying hi to?
Oh, I say hi to all Rocky Mountain SDA Church and my mom, my dad, everyone, all the family.
That's nice.
And she loves them all.
Yeah, she loves them all. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening into my amazing audience. Thank you for always tuning in every Wednesday. It's always a privilege to come into your homes. We remain humble for that. Thank you to my crew, Hope TV Ghana, the production crew. Thank you all so much. Thank you again to my panelists. It was a difficult topic, I won't lie. But I think we managed to do the right thing and give her the right information. So thank you so much. And we'll be back same time next week with another interesting topic. But until then, please continue to watch and listen to the rest of the programs on Hope TV Ghana. And I'd like to say a big thank you to Sefina Ifa Arthur for your help. Thank you so much. And we'll be back same time next week. My name obviously still remains Evie. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.